Good evening, and thank you for joining us for our webinar, Education and COVID-19, Reflecting on Students' Experiences. My name is Dr. Joette Stefl Mabry, and I'm a professor with the College of Emergency Preparedness, Homeland Security, and Cybersecurity.
My name is Shannon Mersand, and I'm a full-time lecturer with the College of Emergency Preparedness, Homeland Security, and Cybersecurity.
These are uncertain times in terms of what education will look like. We can't even think about what it'll look like a month from now. Will we be returning to offering classes face-to-face? What should a phase-in process look like? Will students, faculty, and staff need to obtain an antibody certificate before they can come back to campus? Will we ever see large lecture halls with hundreds of students? Will learning be small groups of students, safely spaced, their temperatures tested before entering the learning space, with hand sanitizers strategically placed throughout the campus? Some people, like Paxton, believe that opening up colleges in the fall should be a national priority, stressing that college and graduate education enables upward mobility and contributes to the upward march of living standards in the United States and globally. Paxton recommends that institutions develop health plans building on three basic elements of controlling the spread of the virus: test, trace, and separate. While we could devote several webinars addressing the design, implementation, and need for continuous assessment of such plans, and the University of Albany, together with the SUNY Chancellor's Office, is currently working on a variety of such plans. Excuse me as I quit my mail here. Plan A, Plan B, Plan C. We chose instead to focus on the learners. How do we identify and then balance out priorities and expectations related to the incoming freshman class, whose education abruptly changed in March of their senior year to emergency remote learning? In this webinar, we will share the experiences of three fictitious students based upon the educational realities of three New York State school districts that we chose at random to represent the diversity of students who come to UAlbany. By sharing these scenarios, we hope to reveal some of the unique challenges students face, especially our incoming freshmen, how their experiences as COVID-19 learners may influence and shape their thinking about what education is and their role as learners in the education process. As you listen to these stories, we ask you to consider how our institution, the University of Albany, and we as educators, staff, and students can meet learners of COVID-19 where they are and help them to become the type of individuals and community members who will help to build a resilient, positive, respectful, and forward-thinking, inclusive society. As you listen, we would like you to think about the following questions. What do we imagine students would have experienced under the previous state of education that they may be missing now? How do we prioritize and balance expectations and offer incoming students flexibility and understanding? How will we identify the instructional and social and emotional supports needed, and how can we be flexible and efficient in addressing gaps? How will we help students make the transition from high school when there's been no closure, and the move to college when the move may no longer be a geographical, physical move? How do we provide continuity in learning and ensure continuity of engagement? What are the things we need to work on, prioritize, and coordinate? What do we value? What's essential to learner? Please share your thoughts in the Q&A section below, and we'll try to summarize your responses and answer your questions at the end of the webinar. It's the spring of 2020, and John, Lana, and Harper are incoming members of the UAlbany class. But where do they come from? What attitudes, skills, and knowledge do they bring with them? Professor Shannon Mersand will introduce you to John.
John is from a small town in the Adirondacks. When COVID-19 forced schools to close on March 16th, John's teachers had just a few days to reimagine how they could teach remotely in a meaningful way. John's school provided one laptop per family and offered Wi-Fi connectivity from the school's parking lot. Prior to this, John's family couldn't afford the $120 a month that the local cable monopoly charged, so he relied upon technology at school and the local public library to complete his assignments. Luckily, the local cable company began offering temporary free internet to families with school-aged children affected by closures. John's brother Damon is 12 years old and has been diagnosed with nonverbal autism. Since the school buildings closed, John provides care while his single mother works her shifts at the local Stewart's. Because she usually works only 37 hours a week, she's not entitled to health care benefits. John worries about her getting sick. Damon is accustomed to routines and exhibits maladaptive behaviors when these routines are interrupted. John spends a lot of his day trying to soothe his younger brother and help him receive the educational services the school provides. Because of school closures, these services are now delivered via telehealth. John once dreamt of the start of the baseball season. Now he spends his day in telehealth sessions with Damon, speech and language services, physical therapy, occupational therapy, and meetings with a school psychologist. This is in addition to John trying to help Damon with his schoolwork. The school district is committed to providing meals to students who need them. Monday through Friday, a school bus stops and delivers lunch to families who have requested it. When his mother returns home from work each day, she removes all of her clothing and washes everything separately before making dinner. She's exhausted, but takes over the care of John's brother. She had hoped to start online courses this summer to try to get a better job, but now she doesn't think this will ever happen. Once his mother has showered, John is finally able to turn his attention to his own schoolwork. Because of caring for his brother, John isn't able to attend the Google Meet sessions hosted by his teachers during the day. Due to privacy concerns, the teachers don't record the live meetings, so John misses any new content that's delivered. His only option is to read whatever materials have been posted to Google Classroom and the textbooks and packets that were delivered with his lunch, and hope that that will be enough. Like many students in New York State, John will graduate from high school without having to take or pass Regents exams in several subjects. His fourth quarter grades will be entered as expectations met or expectations not met. So he will give up trying so hard and figure out how to just get by. John is attending UAlbany on an Excelsior scholarship, but is having trouble finding the money to purchase the required textbooks for his courses. He was hopeful that he would be able to learn everything he needs from the lectures, the opposite of what he had to do since March. Unfortunately, now he's worried that he will have the same struggles with missing live lecture sessions this fall. He was looking forward to a little more freedom. Dr. Stefl Mabry will now introduce you to Lana.
Lana attends one of the top public high schools in New York City. She lives with her parents and her 8-year-old sister, Ashwika, in a 2-bedroom apartment in Washington Heights. The sisters share a bedroom. On March 15th, Mayor de Blasio announced that New York City schools would close, initially only until April 20th, and then teachers would offer online classes on March 23rd. Since then, new guidance has provided more stringent restrictions to New Yorkers to stop the spread of COVID-19 by closing all non-essential businesses. On March 19th, Lana traveled by hour to the subway from her apartment in Washington Heights to her Manhattan school to pick up a loaner laptop. She had access to high-speed broadband service and was able to fully participate with her school's synchronous video conferences that started on March 23rd. Unfortunately, many of those early sessions were interrupted by vandals, spamming the session with pornographic, racist, homophobic, and xenophobic content. Lana learned a lot from that behavior: how not to behave, how antisocial so many people were, and what it was like to be someone like her, an Indian woman only recently beginning to realize her own sexual identity, confronted by hateful images, language, and behavior that attacked her many identities. Lana's parents are still both employed as municipal workers for the city of New York. Her mother is a claim examiner, was given permission to work from home as soon as Pause New York went into effect on March 23rd. She must clock in and work a regular 9-to-5 day monitored by her supervisor. She attends mandated daily online meetings. In order to work uninterrupted, she set up a corner of her bedroom as an office using the family's desktop computer. Lana worries about her father, who's a social worker with the Department of Social Services. Although he suffers from high blood pressure and has diminished kidney function and is at a high risk for COVID-19, his request to work from home is still being processed. At 6:15 in the morning, he leaves the family's apartment on the 11th floor, takes the elevator down, and walks 3 blocks to the subway. Once there, he travels from the upper side of Manhattan to Queens. It takes him about an hour and a half to get to work if trains are running on time. He has had to adjust his time recently and leave earlier because subway service has been reduced. Sometimes that means the trains are extra crowded. He's wearing a mask these days. To minimize the family's exposure to the virus, since he is the only person leaving their apartment, he stops and picks up groceries at the local bodega around the corner from where he works, because he's never sure what the selection will be like in his neighborhood store. He doesn't get home till after work, and since it's been 38 days, the shelves are often bare. Although the family has requested an iPad for Lana's younger sister, Ashwika, they've not yet received one. The New York City Department of Education has tried to provide devices to all students. However, with a 1.1 million students to serve, it's a challenge to meet the demand. For now, Lana must share her laptop with her sister, who's a 4th grader. The principal of Ashwika's school sent an email to her parents telling them to stay out of Google Classroom. So she tries to do the work by herself. Sometimes she cries because she's not sure what to do. Lana often helps her because the sooner her sister is done, the sooner Lana can get the laptop. Lana tries to keep up with her schoolwork by using her smartphone, but of course that doesn't allow her to do very much. Lana's mother complies with New York City's attendance requirement by answering the phone, email, or other digital communication to confirm that both her daughters' interaction or engagement is counted for attendance each day. Lana recently joined an LGBTQ group at her high school before schools closed, and now she worries that her sister or her mother will find out. Her mother has already questioned Lana about some of the website tabs she's forgotten to close. Lana tries to make sure she clears the browsing history on her laptop, but she's worried that her parents might find out. Her parents are very traditional, and they'd be devastated if they were to know. Although Lana does have a smartphone, her mother closely monitors her activity and sometimes reads Lana's text messages. Lana now does most of her communication with her friends late at night when her parents and her sister are asleep. It's very depressing being stuck inside all day, hearing the constant wailing of ambulances and police sirens. New York Presbyterian Hospital is only 5 blocks away from their apartment. It's far worse when the ambulance comes to her building. Lately, every night at 7 p.m., the people in the building and the neighborhood have been erupting in cheers and music to celebrate the hospital workers and the first responders. The apartment is on the 11th floor but faces the back of the building, so the only view they have is of the neighboring backsides of buildings and in the alley. Despite begging their parents to let them take part in at least one nightly celebration, their parents will not allow the daughters out of the apartment. For now, except for their father, they watch the outside world on television or on computer screens. Lana's devastated that she was not able to visit out-of-state campuses before she made her final decision. She was looking forward to attending the accepted students' days and getting the feel of the campuses. Her top choices were out-of-state universities that had arranged to fly her out and pay for her expenses. However, that was all canceled. As the pandemic worsened, her parents told her they wouldn't allow her to attend any out-of-state college. She doesn't know if she's made the right decision regarding UAlbany, but at least her parents have agreed for now to let her go to a school that's 2 hours away. She doesn't fear closure from high school, and She's feeling anxious about moving to college. She isn't able to see the future as clearly as she once did. She misses her friends in high school. She's been cooped up in the apartment for weeks, and it feels like forever. Shannon will now introduce you to our third student, Harper.
Harper School is in Nassau County, and it was well prepared for the COVID shutdowns. Every student in middle school has a school-issued iPad, and high school students have laptops. The students have regularly used learning management systems that have been secured from vandals. In fact, Harper School District has been providing online instructional and emotional support for these students since the 4th grade. Harper's family is well off. Her father is a county executive and her mother a lawyer. Both are able to work from their respective home offices. Her mother's regular office is in Manhattan that Harper used to frequently visit with her friends. At first, Harper was happy when school ended because doesn't everyone wish that school would end sometimes? And then it did. The schools just shut down. At first, it didn't seem like such a big deal, and for the first few days, Harper was living her life as usual. But when she had to stay home and could no longer hang with her friends, the reality of having to stay inside started to hit her. She tried to do a few new things like painting her room and playing the guitar. That was really cool for a while. Now she finds painting boring. Even though she's still talking to her friends over the phone, and they're painting their rooms too, she's getting tired of playing video games every night. She's feeling really isolated. She and her friends agree that the biggest change going to school online is that trying to learn via online meetings is pretty much hopeless because it's hard to find the motivation to do the assigned work and hard to properly explain the materials without being in the classroom. Harper doesn't think any of this would really be that bad if she could at least hang out with her friends. Right now, she's bored with everything. It's been a month and a half, and it's getting hard to find the motivation to do simple things like get out of bed. Harper, like 84% of the students at her high school, is enrolled in several AP courses this semester. She'll take the revised AP exams, each of which now involve only a 45-minute essay. She doesn't think she'll be prepared for the exam, so she really doesn't see the point in studying. She tries to go out for a run every once in a while, but only when she's got nothing else to do when the weather's nice. She doesn't have a prom or a graduation to look forward to. She doesn't really see the point of trying anymore. As for the college search process, Harper hadn't gone to any college visits because she had planned to go and visit the schools with her family once she learned where she got accepted. Since all of her visits got canceled and she had to base her decisions off of information she could find from online sources, which she feels is nothing close to being as useful as a real visit. Harper was really stressed trying to narrow down her choices of schools because she didn't even know what to look for. She was planning on going with how she felt when she visited each campus. So without knowing what she should be looking for or what aspects distinguish one college from another, she just went with her gut and flipped a metaphorical coin. She feels that any college website will try to make their school look as good as possible. So are any of them really credible? They're all trying to get students to come to their school. Luckily, she knew people who had gone to the school she was looking at, and she talked to them to try to get a more objective view of each university. She thinks she's satisfied with her choice, but the fact that she had to do it this way instead of visiting the campuses in person has her really worried. She feels as if next year's senior class is going to have it so much easier because their scores won't be as impactful on their applications, which isn't really anyone's fault, but she still feels like she got screwed out of so much this year. At this point, she feels like the present situation is never going to end. It's never going to be safe to be in a group again.
So John, Lana, and Harper will be officially joining us here at UAlbany in the fall. How do we meet these students where they are now, and what can we do to welcome and engage them in our education community? John Dewey defined education as a social process. Education is growth. Education is not preparation for life. Education is life itself. our lives are so different now from 6 weeks ago. It's hard to see what our lives are going to be like 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks from now. So let's return to the questions we asked at the beginning of this webinar. What do we imagine school students in their schools would have experienced under the previous state of education that they're missing out on right now? How do we prioritize and balance expectations and offer incoming students flexibility and understanding? How do we identify the instructional and social and emotional supports needed? How can we be flexible and efficient in addressing gaps? How will we help students make the transition from high school when they haven't had closure, and help them move to college when the move may no longer be a geographical move? How do you provide continuity in learning and ensure continuity of engagement? What are the things we need to work on? What do we prioritize? How do we coordinate? What do we value? What's essential to learning? What should the learning environment be like? Only by being true to the full growth of all individuals who make it up can any society be true to itself. That is another quote from Dewey, from School and the Society. What is our truth? I want to thank the audience. I also want to thank the people we can't name who contributed to this presentation tonight. And again, to go back to Dewey's quote. I've been thinking more and more about Dewey because he talks about education being life. He talks about real lived experiences, experiential learning. And yeah, that may be put on hold right now, but this also, believe it or not, is a tremendously important learning experience. This is a real learning experience, and it's a learning experience for all of us. So I want to thank all of you, and I want to thank my co-presenter tonight, and I want to thank the University at Albany and our dean and the supportive environment that we have here for everyone. So thank you for attending.